Hello, my name is B. Rose, and welcome to Truth Talk. Today, we are going to talk about something that is very important, something that has been taken from us and taken from our history and replaced with nothing but lies. So, today, we are going to talk about Earth. Alright, welcome to Earth. This is where you live, or where you've been told you live. But really, this isn't where you live. And this picture should be completely worthless to you, because it doesn't describe anything about where you live. Neither does this, or this one. Because the truth is, you don't live in the Milky Way. You don't live in space, and you're definitely not floating on a rock through space. You have been lied to. Take a look at these pictures of Earth from the last few decades. Something's not right here. Clearly. They all look different. They all look photoshopped. What's going on here? Why can't they get us a clear picture of the Earth from space? I'll tell you why. Because it's not possible. They've been doctoring these photos since 1969. NASA has admitted to doctoring these photos, and even if they didn't, you can clearly see where they copy and paste things like clouds. So what's going on? Why are they lying to us? They're lying because they don't want you to know the truth. The governments of the world have spent so much time and money trying to hide this from you. They have indoctrinated you as a kid in school into believing every lie that they tell you without question. But it's time to wake up, because you don't live on a globe. You live here. And I know what you're thinking. Oh God, a flat earth video. But hear me out. This has been rebranded as flat earth. This originally was just known as the Hebrew Earth, which more accurately looks like this. And before NASA, before this massive brainwashing in schools took place, everyone knew that this is what the Earth looked like. That it was circular with a firmament over it. This is what is taught in the Bible. In Genesis, it explains that the waters were separated and a firmament was created. Now, I know what your initial thoughts are here, especially if you've never heard about any of this before. Your first thought, if you're not religious, is, I don't care that it's in the Bible. This is not what I was taught in school. This is not what I've learned from my parents. This is not what anyone else around me thinks. And I understand that completely. But you have to remember that everyone you know has gone through the same schooling as you. They've been taught the same things. And the problem with that is the educational system has been hijacked. It's been hijacked by very rich, powerful families that don't want you to know the truth. This is John D. Rockefeller. If you don't know who that is, do some research on him. But this is his famous quote, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. And that could be problematic considering he started the educational system that we have today. He started the pharmaceutical industry that we have today that keeps people sick. Instead of using natural medicinal techniques, they keep you hooked on these pharmaceutical drugs. He also co-funded the Federal Reserve and funded the United Nations. And this is interesting because this is the United Nations logo. Does this look like a globe Earth to you? Because it's not. This is a map of the flat Earth. Why is the UN, the United Nations, using the map of the flat Earth as their logo? Let's take a trip back through history to a government project that was started August 26, 1946, called Operation High Jump. Operation High Jump was officially titled the United States Navy Antarctic Development Program, which was also called Task Force 68, and it was organized by Admiral Richard E. Byrd. It was said that the operation was to establish Antarctic research bases. They wanted to train personnel and test equipment in frigid conditions. They also wanted to develop techniques for establishing, maintaining, and utilizing air bases on ice. However, that is not the only reason they were there. This operation was created to find the firmament, where the firmament ends. The Task Force 68 included 4,700 men, 13 ships, and 33 aircrafts. In order to reach the firmament, they had to scale the Antarctic ice wall. If you've never heard of this, it is a huge wall in Antarctica, and it looks like this. This wall holds the ocean in place where it is. You may even see fictional pictures of this ice wall in TV or media. But this wall wraps around the entire Earth. And here is what that looks like. Operation High Jump was a success for them, so they moved on to Operation Deep Freeze in 1956, where they established even more research bases. In 1958, our government established NASA. And December 1st, 1959, they established the Antarctic Treaty. 12 separate nations signed this treaty, and it stated that no military weapon testing could happen in Antarctica, as well as they had complete freedom on scientific research, as well as a few other topics, which you can read here. But the strange part is, this has never happened anywhere besides for Antarctica. Nations have never agreed to share land peacefully like this ever before. So the question becomes, why Antarctica? Why is Antarctica special? Well, this treaty is meant to keep people out. Anyone except scientists and military personnel. If you were to try to go to Antarctica on your own, you would be stopped or picked up and brought back. There was a man named Jules Andahoy who tried to take a mission to Antarctica on his own, and he was stopped by the military and escorted back. They will not let you go here on your own. You are not allowed to go here unless you are military or a scientist hired by the government. In 1962, Operation Fishbowl began. The government claimed they were doing high-altitude nuclear tests, but they were really shooting these rockets up at the firmament, and they performed these tests 11 times. Operation Fishbowl was part of a larger project called Operation Dominic, a nuclear test program. Then on July 16, 1969, the Apollo 11 mission took place. This was a nationwide event, and people were supposedly watching this at home on their TV as it happened. Apollo 11's mission was supposedly the result of the space race that took place in the 1950s and 60s. The United States was engaged in the Cold War, a geopolitical rivalry with the Soviet Union. And on October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite. Americans believed that this demonstrated that the Soviet Union had the capability to deliver nuclear weapons over intercontinental distances, and it challenged Americans' claims of military, economic, and technological superiority. The problem was, none of this was real. All of it was faked by NASA. How people can look back on this in this day and age and still believe that this is real is beyond me. This mission is clearly a set, and the props look like plastic and cardboard. In 1969, we didn't even have the technology for a proper smartphone. I doubt that we could go to space. The Apollo 11 mission was very clearly faked, and you are shown this throughout media. There's a reason that you see this in movies and TV shows and music videos being faked, because they know something that you don't. And it's that space doesn't exist. This is a song I pulled up as an example, and it is by Masked Wolf, and it is called Astronaut in the Ocean. And there's a reason that he is saying this in his song. It's not just nonsense that he made up, it's true. This is NASA's Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory that's supposed to help them practice being in space with no gravity. But the truth is, this is where they're actually shooting their space videos. That is why people have caught bubbles coming out of their helmets in videos. Because this isn't real. They've been caught lying when they're supposed to be in space stations too. People have seen animals in the background, rats, just walking normally, things falling to the ground, and women's hair not moving at all because it's been hairsprayed in place to look like it's up. These people are deceiving you, and they know it. Hollywood knows it. All these elitists know this information. It's only us, the regular people, who aren't supposed to know this. All these astronauts are Freemasons. They're liars. They're in on this. Because I know a question people have is, how are there so many people that know about this but say nothing? How could that many people keep a secret? I'll tell you how. Because if you say anything, they will come after you. The government will come after you, and they will make you disappear. So let's talk about this domed Earth a little more. I mentioned before that Hollywood knows this information. Elitists know this information. And they shove it in your face through the media. So here are some examples. This is a Stephen King book called Under the Dome, and it was adapted into a TV show. This is a picture from The Simpsons. They've been known to show a lot of messages in their programming. And here you see the dome is cracked, because that's exactly what they were trying to do with Operation Fishbowl. Here is a photo from Divergent, I believe. This is very clearly symbolism, and that tree in the middle proves it. That tree should look familiar because it's the tree of life. This photo is from the Hunger Games, and as you can see, the games are hosted in this snow globe-like dome with game makers controlling everything. Sound familiar? This is a record from B.O.B., the cover art, which is very clearly the flat earth with the dome over it, and it even has the ice wall around it. Here's the Walt Disney logo, which very clearly has a dome over the castle. You may have never noticed this before, But the castle represents the Tower of Babel, which is supposed to reach the heavens. So it goes through the firmament. Disney is known for a lot of symbolism like this. Here's a clip from one of their old Pixar shorts. Here's another picture of the PBS logo inside of a snow globe. Here's the Days Inn logo with the sun clearly inside of a dome. I know these things don't seem like a big deal and that they seem like a stretch, but they're not. These people know this information, and they put it in front of you on purpose. Here's the Paramount logo. We've got the ice mountain with the dome around it, and then the stars outside of it, of course. Here's Google, one of their old search engine bars. So, you need to be asking yourself, what do these people know that I don't know? Why are they constantly showing us this symbolism? Alright, so we've made it this far, and you might still not believe me, but you might also be wondering how this system works. If we're not on a globe, how does this flat system work? Well, I'm going to explain it to you to the best of my ability. So, for thousands upon thousands of years, cultures across the world believed that the Earth was flat. Their various cosmologies differed slightly, but their overall geographies and astronomies were incredibly consistent and almost virtually identical. The Earth was a stationary plane, void of any motion or curvature, flat across its entire expanse except for hills, mountains, and valleys. The North Pole was the magnetic monopole center point of the flat Earth, with Polaris, the North Pole star, situated directly above. Polaris was the only motionless star in the heavens, with all the other constellations revolving perfect circles around the Earth every night. The stars were divided into two categories, known as the fixed stars or the wandering stars. The fixed stars were called this because they stayed fixed in their constellation patterns, night after night and year after year, never changing their relative positions. The wandering stars, what are today referred to as planets, because they were known to wander the heavens, taking their own unique spirograph-like patterns. The sun and moon were both of equal size, and they revolved over and around the motionless Earth. This is immortalized in the Chinese yin-yang symbol. The sun and moon were known to be much closer than they are nowadays, and each shine with their own unique light. The sun's light being warm, golden, drying, and antiseptic. And if you place a thermometer in the sun's light, it will always read higher than if you place it in the shade. And the moon's light being cold, damp, and septic. If you place a thermometer in the moon's light, it will always read colder than in the moon's shade. The sun and moon, connected to a magnetic maypole, made alternating spiral journeys over and around the Earth every year. The sun began its journey at the Tropic of Capricorn, at the winter solstice, where it made its fastest and largest circle over the Earth. For the next 3 months, the sun slightly narrowed its path and slowed its speed until the spring equinox, where the sun had spiraled its way from the Tropic of Capricorn to the equator. And for the next 3 months, the sun continued to slightly narrow its path and slow its speed, until the summer solstice, where the sun made its smallest, slowest circle around the Tropic of Cancer. Once the sun made it to the middle, it would spiral back out and make its journey back to the Tropic of Capricorn. The moon had a similar yearly path, revolving over and around the Earth. But unlike the sun that constantly changed its speed to keep a consistent 24-hour day, the moon's speed never changed. So it took about 25 hours per cycle. This is why at different times or places each month we can see the moon in the morning, afternoon, or evening. This is also the origin of old fairy tales such as the hare and the hedgehog, or the tortoise and the hare. The hare, like the sun, begins the race full of excitement and energy. Meanwhile, the slow, humble turtle moves as well, allowing the hare to lead. As the race moves on, the hare tires and takes a nap, at which point the tortoise overtakes him. This is an analogy of the moon reaching the Tropic of Cancer each year before the sun. So for thousands of years, Earth and Polaris were the two immovable center points of the universe, around which the sun, moon, and other stars all revolved, in a dome-like shape. In a flat Earth depiction, the North Pole occupies the center point, and south was all straight lines extending outward from there. East and west were not straight lines like they are assumed nowadays, but were in fact circles, just like all lines of latitude, in the paths of the celestial bodies. The southern circumference of Earth was surrounded by a gigantic wall of ice, 150 to 200 feet above sea level, holding the interconnected oceans in like a World Cup. Beyond the ice wall, some cultures believed that there was a firm barrier. Some believed entire worlds and other civilizations existed. Alright, I hope that answered a few questions about the flat Earth model or the Hebrew Earth model. I felt that this was a very important topic to discuss. I know it may not seem very important, but knowing where you live is a big deal. It helps you understand who you are and how important you are. Because we aren't revolving around the sun in the universe. The universe is revolving around us. So it's time for us to accept this information and realize how comforting it is to know this. If there's no globe Earth and there's no space, there's no chances of a solar flare and there's no chances of meteorites hitting us. This truth helps us realize how much closer we are to our Creator. But I still encourage you to do your own research and look into this topic because it is very freeing to know the truth. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and God bless you all.